Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at 10 incredible video games that exposed the shady business practices of the AAA gaming industry.
Hello, I'm Gale of Waterdeep. Apologies, I'm usually better at this.
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Shovel Knight. Prior to Shovel Knight's debut, the indie gaming market wasn't as vibrant as we know it today. Sure, we had some gems pop up on Xbox Live Arcade, but when Shovel Knight launched in 2014, it opened up a lot of people's eyes. Not only did Yacht Club Games deliver an exceptional 2D platformer with quite a bit of replay value, it was an exceptional game being sold at under $20. This caused some folks to begin questioning whether the bigger budget games were worth their time anymore, especially when most AAA games were charging $50 to $60 for middling quality. And somehow, Dragon Age Inquisition won Game of the Year? Palworld. With so many Pokemon fans being burned by the low effort put forth by Game Freak and Nintendo, indie devs have been trying to eat Nintendo's lunch with their own monster-catching games. Palworld took the world by storm at the very start of 2024 with its survival-based mechanics and more humorous approach in making a Pokemon-esque world. But the big draw was that it was a Pokemon clone with far better optimization than the series it was trying to parody. It wound up sparking an intense discussion around Game Freak and Nintendo's possible complacency, and it landed developer Pocket Pair in a lawsuit over patents with the house Mario built. Monument Valley. In the early years of mobile gaming, developers began figuring out how to design games using psychological tricks and free-to-play systems while implementing ways to nickel and dime users. This behavior was and still is common among the AAA companies that dabble in this side of the market. But once Monument Valley jumped onto the scene with its humble price tag of $3.99, it made the mobile gaming scene look like a landfill. Monument Valley asked for nothing more than a few dollars in exchange for 10 creatively brilliant puzzles with a surprisingly impactful story about mankind and its excessive use of nature's resources. The game would win tons of awards, amass over $14 million within its first 2 years, appear in a small handful of TV shows and music videos, and spawn 2 equally successful sequels. Meanwhile, AAA companies still think the money is on free-to-play facades loaded with gacha mechanics and egregious monetization. Yakuza / Like a Dragon series. Initially, the Like a Dragon games seems like the outlier for a list like this, especially since it's published by Sega, one of the giants of AAA gaming. However, Sega and developer Ryu Gagotoku are showing everyone how a AAA development model truly works. Have you ever noticed how often Ryu Gagotoku recycles assets across games? Really, a lot of mechanics, animations, minigames, and worlds across the Like a Dragon games are recycled from previous titles.
くそね。なんで兄弟ばっかりこんな目に遭うんや。ええんや。
Because of this, Ryuga Gotoku can focus on implementing new spins on those assets, improving the visual fidelity and performance over time, and keep the story compelling, and they achieve this every time with flying colors, with every new release. It begs to question the other AAA companies and what exactly they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on for their own annual releases.
This sucks.
Stardew Valley. By 2016, it seemed as if the gaming industry only wanted shooters and cinematic games with realistic graphics. After all, this is what AAA gaming has built its foundation on, and somehow still believes it's the key to its success. Farming sims were a thing of the past. In comes Stardew Valley, a game made by one person named Eric Baroni over the span of 4.5 years, boasts pixel art for its graphics, and lets the player just live their life on a farm, with the only risk being, how is Abigail going to be mean to me today? And since its debut, the game has sold well over 40 million copies, turning Baroni into a multi-millionaire. Meanwhile, AAA gaming is taking almost double the amount of time, with teams of hundreds of people and several outsourced studios just to belt out a single game that costs them hundreds of millions of dollars. Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors went through a story almost similar to Eric Baroni in Stardew Valleys. With a small team of people and some fuel from his love for Castlevania, Luca Galante used his experience in the gambling industry to create Vampire Survivors in 2022. Though the success was not instant, sales grew exponentially in 2022 and well throughout 2023 as the game made its way to other platforms. And Galante was only charging a small asking price of $5, sometimes less if the game ever went on sale. You would think a game made on a shoestring budget like this would cause some AAA companies to abandon ridiculous live service trends. Alas, here we are in 2025, where companies like Ubisoft and Warner Bros. Games are in deep financial trouble because of live service trends. Balatro. You would think that all this chasing for endless revenue in live service games would lead some AAA companies to developing card games like Marvel Snap. For some reason, that just isn't on the table, even when you have a massive hit like Balatro. Once again, we have a simple game made on a shoestring budget, made by one person within a small window of 2.5 years. Basically, this was a game made in a similar time and budget as how PS1 and PS2 games were made in the late 90s and early 2000s. With its flashy visuals and different ways to break the game, Balatro saw critical and commercial success en masse, selling 5 million copies across console, mobile, and PC in less than a year. But sure, let's keep dismissing card games as a viable genre for AAA developers to delve into, and let's just keep chasing online FPS games that keep our players coming back and taking part in the world. Baldur's Gate 3.
We need each other, and we both know what's at stake. Can't think of better company.
If you want to talk about games that really keep players coming back, Baldur's Gate 3 is a prime example of how to do it well. It's not through rigged loot box systems or psychological manipulation. Larian Studios spent years not only building the game, but refining it through early access with a dedicated player base. And within that time, they created a massive adventure with actually unique dialogue options, actually unique side quests that make every campaign feel different, and actually different endings that make you want to play the game again for a different conclusion.
You were on the Norse Lloyd as well. And I can only assume you too were on the receiving end of a rather unwelcome insertion in the ocular region.
On top of that, Larian did not hold itself to meeting shareholders' expectations, nor did they expect staff to work overtime to meet unrealistic expectations, practices that CEO Sven Vinke called out the AAA industry on at the 2024 Game Awards. He even gave some secrets on how to make a Game of the Year, secrets that one of Sony's own studios followed in 2024.
You seem to know enough about our condition to realize it's beyond most clerics' skills.
That game being Astrobot. In the wake of Sony's disastrous Concord, an online FPS born from Sony's own live service fantasies, the corporate's own Japanese studio, Team Asobi, launched the 3D platformer known as Astrobot. The game's reveal in May 2024 was a shock to everyone too. A AAA game company making a 3D platformer? The only ones who do that are Nintendo. Indeed, it was the most anti-AAA game that a AAA company like Sony could ever fund and publish. And to almost nobody's surprise, it did very well. Astrobot has sold roughly 2 million copies at the time of this video, and while those numbers aren't super impressive, it swept up awards like crazy across numerous outlets. That's pretty dang great for a game made by only 60 to 70 people. So, why do we need teams of hundreds of people again? And lastly, the game that exposes all AAA companies, Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Alright, let's keep moving. We found the weird corals. Mael must be close by.
If none of our previous entries expose some of the lies the AAA side of gaming has fed us, then Clair Obscur Expedition 33 should be the prime piece of evidence that not everything we've been told is true. With a small team behind this, we received an RPG that incorporates unique ideas in its combat mechanics, tells a touching and somber story about age, and boasts insanely detailed and refined visual fidelity in texture and animations to the same degree as your average Call of Duty or NBA 2K, if not even better than those. On top of that, Sandfall Interactive and Kepler Interactive delivered a 40-hour adventure at just $50. Now, we would love to hear the new excuses as to why we need near-decade-long development cycles, why we need headcounts of thousands of people for one game, why we need to burn hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing, and why video game prices need to be pushing $100 now. We'll be here waiting right after another playthrough of Expedition 33. This game's way too good. Way too good.
We lay the trail for those who will come after. Right. We are Expedition 33.
But tell us, which of these games do you think defies all the standards that AAA gaming has for itself? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day. If we can just break ourselves away from Expedition 33.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.